Hey everyone, this is Steve Kick, host of the MMLA Connect Podcast, bringing you another episode with a buddy of mine, someone who has dedicated much of his life to the mortgage industry and also the MMLA. Happy to have Dan Grzywacz with me today. Dan, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me today.
Glad to
How
do
we
it.
doing?
I was really excited about the speaking fee today, so I'm glad to be here. And Steve, it is Friday. It's a beautiful day out. It's the day before my wife's birthday, Holly. So very excited.
It's a great day, right?
It's a great,
beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Birthdays, looking forward to it, man. So
yeah.
Glad to have you on the podcast here, Dan.
Thank you.
You are the chief CFO, I would say, chief fund officer at Mortgage One.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. You're something like that. Yeah. Senior Vice President, Retail Operations.
SVP of Sales, right?
What's that?
SVP of Sales?
Yes. Yep. West Michigan.
Yeah. Mortgage One. Tell us about your career, though, in mortgage, Dan.
Well, listen, I'll tell you, it's an interesting career to me because I can now look back upon it, 40 years. And I started out as a kid mowing lawns, and I had 8 lawn jobs when I was a kid and went through high school and, met my good friends in high school, still friends today, which is amazing. I started out, I applied for a sales job at a furniture shop. I was 19 years old, 20 years old, and they gave me the job. Now, the interesting thing about working at a furniture store is I'm colorblind. So I don't know green, red, and
wonderful.
I didn't tell them that, but so I got the job, and before I started, 2 days later, the bank called me, and Michigan National Bank, and said, "Hey, we got a position for you if you're interested." I took some classes at community college, so I went to work for the bank. I figured it was safer. I knew the color of green. There was only one color of money, really. And I started as a floating teller. So I'd float between 20 offices and eventually became a teller. And then I went to do accounts. And then I went to home equities and lending. And a position came open for a mortgage job. And I was encouraged to apply for it. And I thought that was interesting. So I applied for it. And I didn't get it. And so, but that piqued my interest. So I looked outside the bank and I ended up at Fireman's Fund Mortgage, which is today Bank of America. And I worked there for a couple years. And then my now business partner of 25 years, Scott DeWolf, became the manager of the department at Michigan National Bank and said, "Hey, now that you know mortgages and now that you knew everyone at the bank, why don't you come work for us?" So I worked there for 5, 6, 7 years. And then they sold the mortgage department to what is essentially Wells Fargo. And then I went to Wells Fargo, and then I got recruited by Flagstar Bank. And then I did my own thing and eventually connected with Mark Workins at Mortgage One. And I've been here 13 plus years, going on 14 years, I think. My last stop, longest place I've ever been, by the way. It's crazy, but it's been quite a...
Well, yeah, it sounds like you've been around a little bit, been around the block, as they say, Dan.
Yeah.
Few different places. So you've kind of cut your teeth, I think, in different avenues of the business, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which probably has made you successful in running your own mortgage company.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes. Well, listen, running your own mortgage company is tougher than it looks. We were doing insurance and accounting and audits and HR issues and all sorts of stuff. So, when you're a good salesperson and you take that sales and then you have to set it aside to really run an organization, those are two different things. Sales and running an organization are they're just opposed, really. So after running, our own company for 8 years, we decided to get back into sales, and that's how we connected with Mortgage One. I'll tell you, early in my career, it was interesting because I was doing this job for about 6 months, and I thought, I'm too young. People don't respect me. I don't know what I'm doing. This job is harder than it looks, as you know. And I hung in there, and about 2 years later, I go, you know what? Something's clicking here. I get it. I'm still not. One thing I learned early in my career is you tell people what you don't know. I don't know. Let me find out. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I'll get back with you. So,
I love that. For me, when I was starting out, my number one thing was, the guidelines are always changing. Let me check on that for you, and I'll get back to you. And I would find the answer. But you got to find the right answer too, right?
Yeah. Freddie Mac came out.
Make sure you're telling the right thing.
Freddie Mac came out this week and made some changes to their income, calculations, and we were just like, and I'm like, I think I get it. I think I understand what you're saying, Freddie Mac. I don't know.
Yep.
So,
And it doesn't always apply in every situation either, right? So it doesn't always come up because
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
a
So
unique
I did
situation.
this job for about 5 years, and then I connected. I'm not even certainly sure how, probably through a guy named Jerry Warmester. And Jerry was with MGIC, and he's retired, but he was old school. He was an oligarch in the mortgage business. And he probably got me connected because I know he was quite involved in the Mortgage Lenders Association. So, I came along with the local chapter, West Michigan Mortgage Lenders. And I was really oblivious to the state chapter because you start local, and that's where it should start. You start local. And I did that for a few years. And then I got introduced to the state chapter. And I think I started in the Mortgage Lenders Association just a couple of years after Joanne came in. And so Joanne and I have been hanging around about the same time, and we've seen, some people retire that have been doing this as long as we have. And so then I became president of the state chapter, and the local chapter. And then I got on the board of the state chapter and became president of the state chapter. And that's where it really was a game changer for me. Local was huge. Getting the local connections, that was huge. State, all of a sudden it's state connections. And that was big, And then you get introduced to the Mortgage Bankers Association. And then you start, tooling around, with their organization. And that's a whole nother level. That's just a whole nother level.
It's funny because I'm kind of going through those things right now, right? You're speaking about the things that I'm experiencing right now. I got involved locally, and it kind of took me a while. I would come to like an event here and there, throughout the years. Then when I finally decided to join, like you said, I had no idea about some of the people at the state level, but I got involved with my local chapter, and then, which you were involved in, and it's been great being able to get to know you more and see you at events. And you definitely have pushed the MMLA, and always been a huge advocate of it.
Well, even so, are prime examples. And just to step back a degree, you started your career, as I understand, the same way I did. You were a teller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you got to start somewhere, right? I mean, you step out of high school and you got to figure out what's my next step. What do I do? And
I was a bartender.
Huh?
Before I was a bartender.
Oh.
I was bartending the last couple of years of school, and I had gotten my college degree and couldn't find a job in time. Applied everywhere.
Yeah.
Ended up getting a job as a teller because I had a lot of friends working at LMCU at the time, and I guess the rest is history from there. But yeah. Humble beginnings, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I appreciate every step of it. I really do. And I'm so glad I was on the banking side of things to understand the bank world, which is different than the mortgage world, very related, but very much different as far as that goes. So
it definitely helps you. Hold on before we move on from that.
Yeah.
I think we got to touch on the fact that it helps you understand parts of the business that maybe other people don't understand who don't have a background in banking, right? Yeah. Whether that be even, how to refinance other loans or consolidate debt, things like that, that we can help for our borrowers. So, it gives you a whole picture.
It sure does. Piece. Yeah. I met with, actually was a relative, and they're like, we want to buy up, but I'll have all this debt and we can't afford a new house. And we're like, well, why don't we take half your equity that you've, accumulated, pay off your debt. And all of a sudden they went into a brand new, beautiful house, 3 times bigger than the one they had with less debt. And like never imagined, a simple thing, but it comes with experience, so yeah.
Definitely. So wanted to touch on that. But, as we keep talking about MMLA here, in 2023, you won the James T. Barnes Award. And in 2016, you won the Ambassador Award. So you have obviously given back to the MMLA. And so let's kind of go into, how you earn those, why you earn those, and, what it takes and what it's done for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the J.T. Barnes Award, I still pinch myself because that's given to a lot of CEOs and people that encourage their companies to participate. And it's not often given to someone who's not a CEO. And I've been CEO of a company, and I'm a high-ranking official at, Mortgage One. And, but I've been in this business 35 years and have helped hundreds of team members, under me and help them achieve and grow. And I've given back. And, my business partner, Scott, he's out in the streets, making loans, helping our people while I'm doing, things with the MMLA. And not that I didn't participate in, building the business and all that, but it certainly is. You have avenues and you've got to go down those avenues, and there's distractions, and I'm not saying in a bad way. The MMLA was a good distraction, but I found it very rewarding, and I found it to help my career path. Not some, you don't even know what your career path is until you're, look backwards in the rearview mirror and see where you've come from. It's been very rewarding to me to be involved in the MMLA. And one of the big things to me is collaboration, getting with my competitors. Like Steve, you and I are friends.
Yeah.
We were talking about our good friend Janice Hurt the other day, who had a birthday. And,
Love you, Janice.
A shout out to Janice. And, title companies and mortgage insurance companies and other professionals. And it's just those connections. And those connections have opened up so many doors to me that I didn't even anticipate. I mean, seriously, I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to be nice. And if I can help you, and I get calls monthly, if not almost weekly, from other companies asking me what I think. I had a CEO of a company reach out to me 2 weeks ago and asked, hey, can you give me your top 10 Mishta points and bullet points? And I'm like, sure. And I did. I'm glad to do it. And I'm like, don't you have people on staff that can do this for you? But I am super glad to do it,
Yeah.
And people like, hey, my underwriter's asking me for this. What do you think? And I'm like, I take those calls all day long. I love it. So it's been extremely rewarding to me. And I appreciate the MMLA, the boards, Joanne, I'm very appreciative of her and her skills and what she's brought to the MMLA. I appreciate the West Michigan mortgage lenders because they've really stepped up in the last 20 years and just have been participating and help driving the MMLA. And we have a strong Southeast presence, but we have collaborated together between them. So, back in the day, it was a very heavy Southeast presence, run, directed, and we brought that West Michigan flavor in. And it's really, I thought changed the dynamics of the Mortgage Lenders Association for the better. I think it just opened it up statewide for people.
Yeah.
So.
We just had the sales rally recently, and just the energy and the collaboration and just everything that we have going on right now. This organization is really on the up and up, and there's a lot of people who mean a lot and mean well in this business that are promoting the MMLA, that are involved. And I know, speaking for myself, I'm super excited to continue to be a part of it and help it grow.
Yeah.
And I know I can say this, we're super thankful for, all you continue to do, Dan, for, the industry and the MMLA. And speaking of what you've done for the industry, let's talk about Mishta a little bit. You've done a lot of Mishta loans, and I know you've been instrumental in helping get that sales price limit increase. So let's talk a little bit about that, Dan, your involvement there.
And I'm gonna go a step backwards on you, Steve, because in 2008 I was president of the state association, and I think I helped spearhead the loan officer licensing in Michigan before it was a national thing. And it was quite a discussion locally because licensing comes with regulation and cost and burdensome, for businesses. But I thought licensing was important because we're professionals and we should be regulated. We should be registered. We should be licensed. And that wasn't a thing back then. And I remember talking to a lady on the phone, and she's like, can you hold on? She goes, my plumber does mortgages and he's asking me questions. And, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So we got that through. Jennifer Granholm signed the bill. I believe Dan Sugg and I were standing next to her when she signed that bill. And so that was my first entry into, kind of legislative events. And I've worked on some other stuff. And then the Mishta sale price, I've been working on that for, I feel like 5 years, if not longer. And we get to the peak and then we fall down because the legislation turns over, their membership, and you have to start over. And it was a nail biter. They had closed out their session. The bill passed, but it had to go to the governor's desk, and no one was sending it to the governor's desk. And I'm like, I'm on the phone working the phones and like, what the heck is it? Why is it sitting somewhere? And it should be on the governor's desk. And last minute, it changed. And that's one of the things in the mortgage business regulations. VA to me is antiquated. You can't go zero down with a non-spouse on a VA. Well, why is that a thing today? That makes no sense to me at all. I mean, that's just not society today. And we have a lot of those kind of rules and regulations. And so the mortgage industry to me is, stuck 20 years ago. It's had a lot of progressions and it's changed a lot, but I think it's got a lot more ways to go. The mortgage, the Michigan bill, Michigan State Housing Development sale price limit, that's huge because you get an average price in West Michigan and it's the low end is 224.5. So that means everything you're looking at is, on the low side of sales of the average sale price. And it pushes out most buyers. They can't get into that category, which is extremely helpful. And I think there's going to be more positive changes coming to Michigan down the pike here, we'll see. And they've done so much with the lot division having more than buildable lots and some other things that they've done.
Acreage limits, I think they upped the acreage limits.
Acreage limits. So. Yeah, they just updated income limits. So the nice thing about the Michigan bill is it's tied to a formula, so it's going to change fluidly as values continue to go up. That'll go up. Tanya Kuhn there and her staff just have done an outstanding job listening to the Mortgage Lenders Association, listening to the players. Her thing is, how can I help you guys? You tell us what you need and we'll look at it. I remember working years ago with Mishta, and you had to drive a package or overnight a package. They wouldn't do electronic packages. And for years, I would meet with them and they'd say, what can we do to help you? And I'm like, I send a package electronically to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Rural Development, FHA, VA, and you guys can't take an electronic package? And they're like, no, our attorneys say we can't. And meeting. And they're like, oh, I guess we can, Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate that. Little things, little progress, so.
I think, the key point there, not only have you done a lot of things to help the industry, but persistence is key, right? You can't just give up at the first no.
Passion, right? Persistence, willingness, and wanting something done. Wanting to tell me why I can't do this. Tell me why. If it's good, not only good for me, but good for my company, good for my loan officers, good for the industry,
But it's also, at the end of the day, it's good for the customer, right?
Yes.
Not necessarily whether it helps your bank account or not, even with those licensing requirements, right?
Yeah.
You own a company, you're betting against yourself in a way, right? But you're also saying, I want to step the bar up, yes. Right? Like I want to raise the level of our professional game and I'm willing to bite that bullet, if you will, and take those costs in to make sure that people are getting loan officers who are truly trying to help them and doing a good job and giving them the best advice, right?
Yeah. That's a great point because it truly is about the customer, and everything we've ever, fought for, invested into has always been about the customer experience, the customer, being better off, being better served, better programs. And that helps our companies, that helps our loan officers, that helps our industry. It's all connected. And I've always never really looked at the dollars. It's always been about the customer experience, about helping customers. And I've always treated a $40,000 transaction the same as a $400,000 transaction. And I seriously didn't look at the money. The money just comes if you're closing transactions and helping people. And if you're helping people, you care about them, then they tell other people, And talking about the industry, it's a big industry and there's enough business for, we're competitors, you and I, right? So this is a perfect example. We've got Mortgage One, independent mortgage lender out there. We've got Lake Michigan Credit Union, which is a fantastic credit union. I endorse them, my bank there. I'm hoping to win their $50,000 makeover. Big check. And but that'd be nice. This is for both of us. And once in a while, we say, there's this program over here at this institution that may be a better fit for you. And I've done that. And then all of a sudden I get a referral from that person sending someone back to me. You just do what's right for the customer, and you work hard, and you collaborate. That's what I love about it. It's collaboration.
I think a lot of people, like loan officers from the outside looking in, they don't understand that you can collaborate with your quote unquote competitors and still get more business, right? As you talked about, we have opportunities where I can't do something and I'm sending it to someone. I'm like, hey, this person can do a DSCR loan, or they can do a Michigan loan, or, whatever it is that we might not be able to do, someone else can do. And that comes back to you, sometimes, tenfold, right?
100%. 100%.
That's been one of the great things about the MMLA is you find business in other avenues that you probably never expected you'd get
Yeah. And you find it's not cutthroat, I'm not out to step on you and step over you,
Yeah. That too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Rising tides, raises all boats.
Yep.
Or whatever they say. I believe that it's been a blessed career for me, helping, my team members, helping my competitors. I've done loans for competitors. I've had people call me to do loans for various reasons.
Yeah.
And it's just such a blessing to me, and so I'm kind of doing mostly kind of managing my staff, helping them out, Mortgage One. And then, I do write loans here and there, but I mostly just give them to my team members now. So listen, recently I was asked to teach 48 eighth graders and Potter's House here in Grand Rapids. Yeah, good friend of mine, also a customer. And he goes, hey, will you come in and talk about your industry? And so I did. I talked about my industry, and I had to do it very more simplistic because of my audience. And I talked for about 35 minutes, and then I had 20 minutes of questions. And some of the questions from eighth graders really make you think, and one of them was like, what do you enjoy about your job? And it's like people, talking to people, getting to know people. There are customers of mine that have become friends, and, I love it. And so helping people in homes are stability, homes are community, homes create, wealth. And another one's like, what's your greatest frustration? And I thought that was a great question, because my answer was, well, sometimes I'm helping people and they don't realize I'm helping them. They're like, why are you bothering me? Why are you hassling me? Why are you asking for that? That's none of your business. Like I did a loan for a self-employed electrical contractor, one-man shop. And he's like, what I earn is none of your business. Like, what?
Well, it is when I want to loan you a couple $100,000, right?
Yeah. And then, so two other things. One of the kids said, what is your greatest concern in the business? And I thought that was very intuitive, very sharp, And I said, well, if rates go up and people aren't selling houses and people aren't buying houses and people aren't refinancing, I have no income. So that's a concern. And the last one, there had like 40 questions, but one kid goes, what do you like to drink? And I go, vodka. And he goes, and after I was done, the teacher's like, you're pretty straightforward, honest guy, aren't you? I go, yeah. So, yeah.
You said that to the eighth graders? Oh, man.
This is coffee, by the way.
So, well, I said, chief fun officer, because I think that's one of the things that, separates you from a lot of people is, this business can get so serious, and, it's a big deal, right?
It is.
I mean, it is a big deal. We're helping people with, the biggest financial decision that most of them are going to make in their life, so there's a lot of emotion tied to it. But at the end of the day, if you can't enjoy your job and enjoy what you're doing, then why are you doing it, right?
100%. Exactly.
So I appreciate the energy you bring.
There are frustration points in the business, arguing with an underwriter, arguing with an appraiser, quote unquote, arguing. There are frustration points, things not closing on time. Someone says, I'm going to be homeless if I don't close by Friday, and we have a 3-day requirement to wait, and we're not quite there yet. There's all sorts of frustration points, but it's trying to manage those. And, so here's another thing that I think is important. Customers are key. We do this for the customers. We do it because it is a business that we can help people, and it's a great industry. And we really are building a foundation in the community with every house that we finance, right? The other thing is, but we also have a responsibility to our employer. So it is a for-profit organization that we work for, although the credit unions aren't for profit. But, we do have an obligation to our employer to make sure that we're doing quality loans, that they're above board, that they're done in accordance with our policies. And that's important. So we have to manage the importance of the customer, the importance of the company, and the industry standards, So it's quite a juggling act. All of those things. But I love it.
Well, we're a not-for-profit institution, but, we have to our members are the people that we need to make money for, right? Yeah, so
you have to make money.
Plow that money back in. But if we're not making money, then we get rid of the mortgage department. So,
yeah. And or the people in the buildings and the programs. And you're there to make money. So it's semantics, we're all doing the same thing. So the thing with the mortgage business is, I'm doing a loan, and then I'm doing 10 loans a month. And then everybody in my organization is doing 10 loans a month, 10, 20 loans a month. And then your company is doing, so we're doing $1 billion in business, $2 billion in business. And all of a sudden your company is doing, $2, $3, $4 billion in business. And then we have our competitors, Independent Bank, Fifth Third Bank, other mortgage companies. And all of a sudden we've got this, these thousands of customers getting homes where they're raising families and they're building equity and values have been going up. And they're paying down their balances, which is creating, more equity. And those homes, they go out and they buy paint and wallpaper and furniture and a new TV and maybe a new car for the driveway and some landscaping. And you've got realtors and appraisers and title companies and mortgage insurance guys and everybody, underwriters and processors. And it's a huge industry, and it's a huge part of the American gross
economy,
domestic product. The value of that we provide to the United States is just in the security. And it's just, if you think about it, from one loan, one customer to all of a sudden this huge industry that we're involved with. It's incredible. It's incredible. And you and I are in it. And at the end of the day, Steve, you and I are this one small, cog,
speck of dust,
or what I say, clog in this industry, but we make an impact. We're valuable. Sure. We make an impact, and it impacts our families, right? So the families need our stability. They rely on us to provide for them. So it's just a blessing, man. It's just a blessing. I've loved. I pinch myself every day, as you know.
Yeah.
First thing I do when I wake up is I think of my wife Holly, and then I think of you because you're such a smiling guy.
Well, man, Dan, you just made my day there. The bromance is, goes both ways.
It's
I
real,
appreciate
man.
you.
It's real.
If I want to be like Dan Grzywacz someday, that's what I aspire to be like. So,
well,
you're a titan of the industry, man, for sure.
What's funny about that is, it's been like going on 40 years in banking, or I'm over 40 years now. And I remember looking at these Jerry Warmester, MGIC, old school people. Joanne knows Jerry. And they'd come in the office. I'm like, God, that guy's been around he knows the stuff. He's looked up to. He's been around. He is a go-to guy. Always there, willing to help me out, give me some advice, point me in a good direction. And all of a sudden I go, I'm that guy. I've been in it long enough that I'm that guy. Not to toot my horn, but just my experience, and my track record, So, yeah. But I do love it. And I love mentoring. I love helping people. And I'm seeing my team members. I got to do a shout out to Adam Tolley, who's following in my footsteps. And he's been on the board and local board, and now he's on the national board. And, I've been involved in the Grand Rapids Association of Realtors I think I just got my 20-year award, ambassador for them. A Home Builders Association, I was on their board for 10 years. I was on the Better Business Bureau, some board for them, City Grand Rapids, And so it's more than just the mortgage lending, it's community. It's giving back, but it's been a hoot. It's just been a hoot. And I'm not retiring yet. So I love it. Every day I wake up and I'm excited about it.
I hope not. No, we're going to squeeze as much as we can out of you. This industry is going to continue,
Good.
To milk you for all we can, Dan, especially financially, because we know you've been, supporting all of the things MMLA.
And I believe that. I believe in giving back. And it's come back to me tenfold. I contribute, and it's come back to me. So you got to be careful squeezing me, Steve, because some people think I'm a lemon. And you got to be ready for that lemon juice.
Don't worry, man.
You know what lemon juice goes with?
I know you're a good guy.
You know what lemon juice goes with?
Vodka. Yeah. I know where you were going with that, buddy. Speaking of which, we gotta have one soon. So
well, you know where that's going to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
At your spot, man.
Yeah.
That you own.
Shout out to JT's Pizza. It's okay.
JT's, baby.
Yeah, I really love seeing your progression. And because when I first met you, I didn't know you, and we got to know each other, and I would say, how long have we known each other now? Going on 3 years?
At least.
Yeah.
I would say probably 5 or 6 since before COVID.
Okay. Yeah. Met your mom. Yeah. Partied with her a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to BB Kick.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day soon here.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah. And just to watch your progression, and not only yours, but dozens of other people just step up. Kate has done just a fantastic job representing local in LMCU in Michigan Mortgage Lenders. And it's just wonderful to see another generation come in and progress and take over and give. And I was just talking to Adam Tolley about some ideas with the mortgage lenders yesterday, and to see his enthusiasm is just wonderful. It's good community.
We have a lot of people that are doing things with a lot of passion, and they're doing the right things to help, the industry.
I agree. And if anyone out there, wants some advice, wants to chat, connect, I'm open. I'm here. I'm willing. So
same. Same here. Dan, as much as you're an industry mortgage legend, what do you like to do outside? Like, why do you do what you do? What gets you up in the morning? What's your why?
Well, as people know, I'm on wife number 3, Holly, who I adore tremendously. And so we spend time together. We travel. We have a house in Florida. That's the beautiful thing about my job. I can almost work from anywhere. And just took my 21-year-old to Vegas with my ex-wife, my wife, my kids, my extended family, my brother. I had a great time there. Somewhat traveling, but kind of sticking around Florida. Golf is my big thing, and mowing my lawn. Somebody says, why don't you get a lawn service? Because I love to go out and mow my lawn. It's just wonderful. So I got 2 grandkids, and King George lives in Chicago, Oak Park, and his birthday is July 3rd. He's a British baby. He has a British dad, and it's a July 3rd birthday. And then baby Kennedy, Princess Kennedy, she is in end of June. Will be turning 1. So we're doing a lot of FaceTime, and I have a beautiful drawing on my table out from King George, which I just everyone else would think it's a mess, and I get into that point in life where it's grandbabies and adult kids, and I love being an empty nester. And we just take off and, go get a bite to eat or get a drink. And, I take phone calls. I told Holly we were dating, and we were out and about. And I said, listen, the reason I can go to dinner or go on a trip and be out and about is because I just take phone calls. I work. And if that's a problem, let me know. And it's never been a problem. So, I love it. How about you? You're a golfer.
I attempt. I think, going back to what you said, though, you really enjoy life, Dan. What you're talking about here. And that's why you continue to have all these great things happen and you have these great people around. Even being able to hang out with your ex-wife, with your wife, you're able to move on and create relationships regardless of anything that happened in the past. And I think that's just a testament to your character and why you continue to be successful. So we appreciate you, man. And
if you reach out to people, I've met people non-mortgage world that then refers people to me in the mortgage world, and it's just talking to people. It's just being nice. I was at a place and I met a couple and I go, what are you guys up to? And she goes, we're renting, we're dating. And she goes, I said, you're going to buy a house? And she goes, yeah, I'm going to buy a house. I go, what do you do? She goes, I'm a mortgage underwriter. And I went, for who? And she tells me, tongue in cheek, I give her my business card. And I said, I want to do a mortgage for you. When you're ready to buy, I want to do a pre-approval and I want to help you. And I'm serious, but I'm also thinking she's not going to call me. She's in the business. And 6 months later, she's like, I'm ready to get pre-approved. And I did her mortgage. And she's like, maybe she didn't know where to go or what to do, or here's somebody who says I can help you out. And of course, went flawless and all that. And we're still in contact today. But I'm like, you just got to talk to people. Don't assume people don't want to work with you.
Just having genuine conversations and trying to help people, you end up somehow getting their business, right? Regardless of where they work or what they do, if you're genuinely interested, I think it goes a long way.
Yeah. And I think they can see that and they can tell. Yeah. So I have most of my, I've got high school friendships, still to this day. Most of my friendships are business related. They're from the industry, people I hang around with, talk to, call. I had an ex-employee reach out, said, "Do you want to go to a concert?" Yep, did. I had an ex-employee call me, "Do you want to go golfing in July?" Yep, yeah, let's book it. Yeah, and we're still connected. So it's just about being real.
Yeah, being the relationships last over the business, right? And that's what it's all about in our industry.
And to me, it's not about becoming successful. It's about doing the right things, and then you will be successful. Watch out for your customers, watch out for your competitors, coworkers, and your company. It'll come together. it'll come together.
Dan, this has been one of the easiest interviews I think I've ever done. I think maybe I've said 3 words.
Sorry.
No, in a good way. Maybe we should be co-hosting this podcast.
I'm not.
But before we finish up here, I always like to leave the listeners with that was a positive message for sure that you just gave us. But for our industry, give us your one positive take or one positive spin that you see happening right now.
For me, that'd be collaboration. I'm in this mindset right now that I'm just seeing even less of a participant in the MMLA currently. I'm involved legislative committee. I'm also involved. I'm past chairman, but secretary of the Department of Insurance Financial Services Mortgage Industry Advisory Board, which is behind the scenes. People don't see it. Allison Johnson's currently the president. And I just see collaboration. I'm working with MMLA. I'm working with DIFs. I'm working with MISHDA. I talk to the title companies. I talk to the MI companies. People within my organization are very well connected. And it's just so satisfying to see that collaboration. That's what I got.
Yeah. So many people working together to try and help others, So
Yep.
It's great to see.
Yep.
Dan.
Steve, one last thing.
All right.
Sugar helps the medicine go down, and the Tigers are on a tear, and that also helps.
I love it. Go Tigers. You even got your gear. I wore my MMLA stuff here,
Good.
so
Good. You're
supporting our teams and our organizations. Dan, it's been wonderful having you on the podcast.
Happy Friday.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for all you've done for the industry and for the MMLA.
Thank you.
And we hope to continue to see you around and giving back for a long time.
You will.
Thank you to all the listeners, all 25 of you out there. We're waiting for number 26, but appreciate you. Check back in with us the next time on the MMLA Connect podcast. Thanks again, Dan.